Chapter 2. Found by the Alpha King.
In the stillness of night, I awoke, gasping as if surfacing from the depths of an icy sea. The royal suite, my sanctuary within the majestic palace of the Alpha King, lay shrouded in shadows that clung to the corners like specters from bygone ages. My heart, a relentless drum, echoed the truth through its frantic beat. She was near, my fated mate, yet agonizingly distant. I could smell her, scared and beaten. A chill crept over my skin, not from the cool air of the enchanted forest that encased the palace, but from the foreboding dread that she might slip away before I could claim her and make her mine forever. I rose, a behemoth shadow among the opulence that caged me, the lavish trappings of my lineage meaningless in the face of this primal awakening. This doesn't make any sense. I have looked for her for years. The moon, a spectral orb hanging low in the sky, bore witness as I surged forward, driven by a force as ancient as the cursed pines themselves. Through grand corridors lined with tapestries that whispered secrets of my forefathers, I hastened, my thoughts ensnared by visions of her, a siren's call that left no room for hesitation. I had to get to her as soon as possible. As the threshold of the palace yawned open, I shifted to my wolf, and I plunged into the forest, where darkness enveloped me like a shroud. With each stride, I became one with the night, my form melding with the twisted silhouettes of trees and underbrush. The rhythm of my feet upon the earth rang out, a haunting dirge for the distance that dared divide us. Beneath the canopy, where light dared not penetrate, I navigated paths known only to my kind, their secrets etched within my soul. I was the hunter, silent and swift, a specter chasing a promise that flickered on the edge of reality, ever elusive, yet undeniably mine. My presence disturbed the slumbering woods. Even the nocturnal creatures stilled at the urgency of my passage, sensing the gravity of my quest. Each breath I drew was laced with the scent of damp earth and the unspoken oaths of generations weighed down by power and sorrow. Their echoes wrapped around me, a cloak woven from the threads of triumphs and transgressions alike. "Wait for me," I whispered into the void, a plea to the unseen forces that governed our fates. "Hold her safe until I arrive." The forest, with its ancient magic and timeless vigil, seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the moment when two souls would collide and reshape the very fabric of destiny.
In the shrouded cradle of my slumber, a tremor stirred within, a whisper that bloomed into an insistent murmur. My eyes fluttered against the veil of dreams, and the world hesitantly took shape around me. The enchanted forest loomed as a silent guardian around me, its shadows weaving tales of ancient wonders and terrors long forgotten. I knew not what roused me from the depths of sleep, yet a peculiar sensation gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. It was as if a phantom melody played upon the strings of my soul, its tune resonant with a call both alien and intimately familiar. I lay there, adrift in the twilight between worlds, my heart thrumming to a rhythm set by unseen hands. How queer it was, this feeling, like a shard of moonlight piercing through the clouds of my existence, casting light upon corners untouched and yearnings unspoken. I could almost taste the metallic tang of destiny on my tongue, a flavour wrought with portent and promise. I knew naught of the force that compelled him, but I sensed his approach, an inexorable tide of resolve and might. He moved through the forest, each footfall a declaration, a testament to an oath forged in the very marrow of his being. His strength was a beacon that cleaved the darkness, a lighthouse guiding wayward vessels home. In stark contrast, I lay vulnerable amid the mossbed I found last night, my petite frame ensnared by my torn clothes. The vulnerability clung to me, a second skin, while he advanced, a titan cloaked in purpose, his every motion steeped in the unyielding determination to shield and claim. The air around me grew heavy, as though charged with anticipation, waiting for the moment our separate storms would converge and break upon the same shore. And amidst this tempest of emotions and unknown desires, I remained still, a fragile wraith caught in the eye of an unseen hurricane, powerless against its impending embrace. As the distance between us shortened with each of his strides, the whispers of the forest grew hushed, as if nature itself held its breath before the unfolding drama. The stirring within me swelled into an undeniable presence, a lodestone drawing me inexorably toward the source of this profound disruption. "Who is there?" I murmured to the shadows that danced around me, the question hanging in the air like a spectre left unanswered. Yet, somewhere deep within the labyrinth of my mind, I already knew. He was the answer to a query I had not yet fully understood, the missing piece to a puzzle that was my own fractured existence. Could it be? And so, as he neared, the quiet dread that had nestled in my breast since the dawn of my awareness began to unfurl its wings, ready to take flight into the dusk of uncertainty. The earth beneath me trembled ever so slightly, a harbinger of footsteps too deliberate to belong to any creature native to these woods. My heart, a traitorous drumbeat against my ribs, quickened. I drew in the night air, cool and laced with the scent of pine and impending rain. And yet it was his essence that dominated, an invisible shroud weaving through the underbrush toward me. "Who is there?" I whispered again into the darkness, my voice a ghostly echo amidst the towering pines of this cursed forest. The very shadows seemed to recoil at the sound, retreating into themselves as if afraid to acknowledge the presence that now hunted me, a hunter I could not see, but felt as surely as the chill of the wind against my skin. I pressed my back against the gnarled trunk of an ancient tree, its bark biting into my flesh, a reminder that pain was a companion I had never been able to shed. My fingers curled around the jagged stone I had plucked from the ground, its coldness a comfort, a promise that I was not entirely defenseless. The footsteps halted, a pause in the rhythm that sent a shiver down my spine. I strained my ears, desperate for any sign, any clue of what intentions drove this interloper through the tangled web of branches and shadows. There was no snap of twig, no rustle of leaves, only silence, thick and waiting. Then the cadence resumed, each step a measured beat in the dirge that sang of my past transgressions. The very air grew thick with anticipation, charged with the electricity of a storm long held at bay. "Do not come no closer," I rasped, the words catching on a breath that fought to remain steady. The murmurs of the enchanted forest fell away until nothing remained but the pounding of my own heart and the relentless advance of the one who sought me. A part of me, the part untouched by fear and hardened by years of solitude, ached to leap forward, to confront the source of this tension that knotted every muscle in my body. But I was a creature shaped by caution, by the knowledge that trust was a luxury rarely afforded to those who bore scars like mine. And so I waited, the stone gripped tightly enough to bite into my palm, for the Alpha King whose approach heralded both salvation and destruction. His nearness was a spectre that haunted the edges of my consciousness, a constant reminder that the horrors of yesterday could easily become the nightmares of today. The darkness whispered as I stilled, a lone sentinel in the grip of the forest's embrace. The Alpha King's presence loomed, a shadow within shadows, his approach an echo of things long feared and fervently desired. My breath hitched, a silent prayer to the gods of old who revelled in the games of fate. "Do not be scared, little woman," his voice breathed through the night, a dulcet tone that sought to soothe the tempest within me. "I mean you no harm." The words, they caressed the air like a lover's touch, a stark contrast to the power I knew coiled beneath his skin. His footsteps halted, a respectful distance maintained, as if he understood the wildness that skittered along my veins, the same wildness that held me captive in this gloom-drenched realm. An ancient part of me yearned to heed his call, to succumb to the lull of his promise. But trust was a spectre that danced just beyond reach, fleeting and insubstantial. "Look at me," he urged, the timbre of his command layered with an unearthly patience. I lifted my gaze, defiance a heavy cloak upon my shoulders, and our eyes met. A collision of worlds, a merging of souls. In his golden stare, I caught the glint of moonlight, fierce and unyielding, yet cradling a gentleness that belied his formidable form. A jolt coursed through me, electric and raw, the recognition searing into my marrow. It was a pull as undeniable as the turning of the seasons, a connection rooted in the very essence of what we were. Yet, understanding eluded me, slipping through my fingers like silken strands of nightfall. This man bore down upon me with the weight of centuries, his gaze laden with secrets and stories untold. A part of me, fearful, fractured, quailed under his scrutiny. Another part, one that had slumbered in the darkest recesses of my being, stirred with an unfamiliar hunger. "Who are you?" My voice was a ghost's whisper, betraying none of the tumult that raged beneath the surface. "I am your protector, your destined mate," he replied, his voice a soothing balm that threatened to unravel the knots of my resolve. "I am Ezra Darkmoon." Yet, for all his words, it was the silence that spoke volumes, a hushed reverence that blanketed the woods. The Enchanted Forest held its breath, as if privy to a sacred ritual, a dance as old as time itself. In that moment, ensnared by his gaze, I stood on the precipice of a truth too vast to comprehend. The chill of dread mingled with the warmth of nascent hope, a tapestry woven from the threads of my own fragmented soul. And though I knew not what the morrow might hold, his presence was a siren's call to a heart that had known naught but solitude's cruel embrace. My past, a litany of sorrow and shadows, beckoned with its siren's song. But here, under the watchful eye of the moon, in the Alpha King's unwavering gaze, lay the promise of something more. Something akin to salvation, or perhaps another haunting yet to unfold. The forest whispered secrets as he led me away, each step a silent pact between predator and prey. The moon bore witness to my surrender, casting silver shrouds over the path that stretched before us, the path to sanctuary or damnation. I could not discern. "Come," Ezra murmured, his hand a constant pressure at the small of my back, guiding but never forcing. "Your fears will find no home within my realm." There was a melody to his assurance, a resonance that lulled the disquiet in my bones. The spectres of my former captors loomed in the periphery of memory, their shadows dissolving beneath the strength of his presence. Could it be, after years of being hunted, that salvation wore the face of this enigmatic alpha? A hesitant trust blossomed within me, delicate yet desperate for purchase. The Enchanted Forest had been my confidant, its twisted pines and gnarled roots a testament to my solitude. Now, as Ezra ushered me deeper into its heart, I sensed a shift, a relinquishing of the old, the welcoming of an unknown. His footfalls were sure, each stride imbued with ancient rite, and I, a wraith adrift in his gravitational pull, found solace in the cadence of our shared journey. "What is your name?" he said. I replied, "My name is Amara." He repeated my name, but my name was a conjuring upon his lips. "Let the past be but a shadow. My pack will be your refuge, your fortress against the terrors that seek you." Could I dare embrace such a promise? The scars of yesteryear's torment clung to me, a shroud of despair that had long defined my existence. Yet here, in the embrace of the night, guided by a man or beast of formidable myth, hope dared to flutter its fragile wings. After a long walk, suddenly a palace appeared. An awe-inspiring architectural marvel that blends the grandeur of Ottoman design with the opulence of Vatican influences. Towering minarets and domes rise majestically into the sky, their surfaces adorned with intricate mosaics and gilded embellishments. Lush gardens filled with exotic flowers and ancient trees surround the palace, their fragrance mingling with the gentle splashing of fountains and pools that reflect the brilliant sunlight. Inside, vast halls echo with whispers of history, where ornate tapestries and lavish decor create an atmosphere of regal elegance. He kept silent as I took everything in. The amazement of this place had put me in awe, and I could not snap out of it. I felt like being enchanted. How does a place like this exist within these forests? We entered the palace and passed many hallways, and as we breached into the threshold of his domain, the royal suite unfurling before me like a dream wrought in velvet and whispers. It was a chamber fit for the haunting melodies of courtly dances now forgotten, walls that held the echoes of laughter and lament, and there, amidst the opulence and the weight of history, I felt the final tether to my past fray and snap. "Welcome home, Amara," he said, his voice the herald of a new chapter inked in the blood of moons long past. In his eyes, the reflection of my own wary soul gazed back, poised on the brink of becoming something more, something boundless. "Home," I repeated, the word foreign yet sweet upon my tongue. In the shadowed eyes of Ezra Darkmoon, I glimpsed a kindred spirit, both of us haunted by the sins of our lineage, each seeking redemption in the other's embrace. Here, in the heart of darkness, I found a flickering light, a light that perhaps could guide us both from the abyss. Across the threshold of sanctuary, the promise of dawn lingered on the horizon of my new world. Here, amidst the echoes of ancient royalty and the whispers of the Enchanted Forest, I took the first trembling breath of a life reborn. My fate, irrevocably interlaced with that of Ezra Darkmoon and his noble pack, heralded a genesis etched not in despair, but in the indelible ink of hope. Thus, beneath the canopy of a sky pregnant with stars, I surrendered to the allure of beginnings, the haunting melody of what might be, and stepped forward into the embrace of destiny, leaving behind the spectre of a life that no longer claimed dominion over me.